It's that spooky time of year where all we want is a crisp, cool, dark evening, some hot apple cider, and a good story that will send a chill to your very soul. My name is Mary Galime, your host for This Is You, and for Halloween this year, my colleagues and I here at the Denis Wick Chicago Musicians Advisory Studio are sharing some of our scariest stories from our performance careers. Between now and Halloween, we will each be sharing our story for you. This week, you'll be hearing from me about the scariest moment of my graduate degree program at DePaul University. So I have plenty of scary stories from throughout my career, but I think the thing that stands out as the scariest experience for me was my graduate degree program as a whole. I wanted nothing more than to go to DePaul University and work with John Hagstrom because somehow in my gut soul instinct, I knew that John was going to whip me into shape. And whip me into shape he did. And I don't know if he'd describe it this way or not, but the impression I had when I entered DePaul was, well, Mary's a pretty good trumpet player, but she's a natural trumpet player, so she just doesn't have any idea how she's doing what she's doing, and we're going to make a change for that, which to me felt like I was just working nonstop. I had been given more material to learn every single week than I'd ever had before in my life. And so just organizing all of that was a lot to deal with. And then also I was taking lessons and having to bring 4 to 5 different trumpets for each lesson downtown, which was a task in itself. If you're taking public transportation, I was constantly getting stuck in turnstiles. So every week I'd go downtown for my lesson. And where the rest of the studio was taking lessons at the school, their lessons were written on this nice dry erase board that was maybe like 2 feet wide and 1.5 feet tall. And there was, I think, 6 students who were sharing this lesson board. So, each of them had a little rectangle where their lesson was written. Downtown, John had a dry erase board that was, I swear, like 5 feet wide and 3 feet or 4 feet tall. This thing was just ginormous. One of those like big old fashioned chalkboards, but it was a dry erase board. And one whole side of that was devoted to me. It said Mary across the top. We called it the Mary board. And my lessons and assignments were covering this board every single week. And then if, something important came out, it get put in the corner. So it was like lessons compiled on top of lessons and things to remember. And it was just completely overwhelming to me. So this is just to describe the environment that I was going to school in. It was just the biggest challenge. So we get to the scariest moment of my career. It's a lesson day, and we were going to have a studio class or like an excerpt class. So I was one of the members playing the orchestra excerpts in this class. And because this was a special class and John was down at the school anyway, I was going to do my lesson right afterwards. So we have this long excerpt class. I don't remember what we were working on, but it completely wore me out. I hadn't planned, I hadn't paced myself. And, half an hour later, I had to do a lesson. So I sit down on my lesson and I pull my etude book out. I think we were working on a Charlier etude or something. And John says, all right, start playing. And I start playing the etude and I have no face left. And John looks at me and goes, I just don't understand why you would show up and not have any face left. I mean, that's, why wouldn't you be prepared for your lesson? And I was flustered and I was embarrassed that I had no energy left for a lesson and the time that John was taking for me in my lesson was going to be wasted. And I just said, I'm sorry, John, I'm kind of tired. And this look came over his face and he stood up and goes, well, Mary, I'm tired too, and just walked out of the room. And, I was just terrified. Like, what have I done? What did I say? And I think he came back and we finished the lesson as best as we could, or maybe we rescheduled it. I don't know. The big thing is that I remembered my teacher who I looked up to, and I just, worshiped the ground he walked on and just walked out of my lesson. So somehow I made it through the rest of the day without completely falling to pieces. And I go to my last rehearsal of the day, and it's a wind ensemble rehearsal, and we are accompanying none other than John Hagstrom playing a concerto with our wind ensemble. And I sit down and I'm trying not to make eye contact with him because I was still so embarrassed. And, this is a smaller rehearsal room, and we leave all our cases and our coats in the corner of the room far away from where we're rehearsing. And we just finished the tuning note and it's all quiet and the conductor's giving his opening notes. and someone's phone starts going off. Now, let me preface this that I am always super careful about turning off my ringer, but for whatever reason, I left my cell phone in the pocket of my coat and I did not turn the ringer off that day. And one of the most annoying phone rings starts going off and just echoing across the room. And I just shrink in my seat and think, if I don't get up, no one will know it's my phone. So, 4, 5, 6 rings, it finally stops. And everybody just kind of looks around and the conductor says, all right, everybody, just remember to turn your phones off before rehearsal. And thank God we move on. And John gets up and he's starting to describe the piece that we're going to play. I think he was performing the Petrov trumpet concerto or something. And he's telling us a little bit about the piece. And my phone starts going off again for the second time in a row. And at this point, everybody's, the conductor and John are expecting whoever is disrupting rehearsal now for the second time with the same annoying phone ring better get up and turn that phone off. So sheepishly, I get up and, while dying with every step, go across the room to get my phone, turn the ringer off and sit down. And I remember John kind of looked at me and laughed and said, well, never let that happen again. And although it was the most terrifying moment, I appreciated that he kind of laughed for the second because he probably knew I was mortified after the lesson, and he probably saw the look on my face as I had to go and get my phone. The moral of the story is turn your ringer off and pace yourself and prepare yourself for every single moment. But I don't know, it was moments like that that really taught me to be prepared more than the music for the rest of my life, because the music is easy to prepare for, but the situations that you find yourself in surrounding your performance make all the difference in the world. So, and I finished my degree program with flying colors, and I made it out and was really well prepared for the real world because John did not make it easy for me and provided me some of the most terrifying moments of my career. But I think in the end, those, we look back on those terrifying teachers and terrifying moments as just the most constructive points of our life. We hope you enjoyed this story from the Chicago Musicians Advisory Studio. We are preparing for Thanksgiving with Stories of Thanks. These will be stories about the mentors, places, and experiences from our lives that have meant the most to us as musicians. If you have a good story or would like to know more about the Musicians Advisory Studio, contact me, Mary Galime, at deniswickapp@gmail.com. Have a great day.